Banri Tada, a first-year law student at Tokyo University, is late for his graduation ceremony. He follows two other students to the university, where he meets Mitsuo Yanagisawa, another freshman, who quickly befriends him. As they make their way to orientation, they are greeted by a beautiful young woman who hands Mitsuo a bouquet of roses before smacking him with them. Mitsuo later explains that the woman was Koko Kaga, his childhood friend and arranged fiancé, from whom he had fled because he did not reciprocate her feelings. Banri and Mitsuo learn after orientation that Koko is also a student at their university, much to Mitsuo's horror. During a shared class, she meets Banri, and he quickly falls for her. Banri meets and befriends Chinami Oka, a freshman, and Linda, a second-year student and Japanese Festival Culture Research Club member, after class. On his way home, he runs into Koko, who uses his phone to find Mitsuo, but when he returns it, he notices the phone number for a hospital, which reminds him of a time when he was on a bridge and was run over by a motorbike. Banri has a dream in which he is injured and fleeing from a hospital, but when he awakens, he has no memory of anything else. When he arrives at the university gate, he runs into Koko, who waits for Mitsuo, and the two continue talking. He notices that Koko appears lonely in the absence of Mitsuo. Later that night, he tells Mitsuo about Koko, but Mitsuo dismisses it, claiming that Koko is simply acting lonely to get Banri to bring her to him. To lighten the mood, Mitsuo invites Banri to the film club's welcoming party, which Mitsuo was invited to by club member Chinami. However, the tea club's party quickly disrupts the festivities, dragging Banri away to join them. He meets a new friend, Takaya Sat, also known as Nijijin. Banri notices that Koko hasn't made any friends yet and encourages her to join a club the next day. Another student overhears them and invites them to a cafe to tell them about her club, which runs until the wee hours of the morning. She invites them to join her club's overnight trip to see if they are interested. Banri, still wanting to help Koko, decides to accompany her when she agrees to go. Banri meets with Koko and Nijijin, who are also invited, on the day of the scheduled club trip. When the club members arrive to pick up the attendants, Banri becomes suspicious when he notices they all wear a similar pendant. He becomes even more suspicious when they bring the group to a remote location. The club then reveals itself as a cult seeking to recruit Banri's group. Banri persuades them to let the others go when he tells them that he was in an accident after high school that caused him to lose his memory of everything before starting college and that they could help him. Koko decides to stay with Banri as the others leave, and the two eventually escape and hide in the woods. Banri and Koko bond as they hide by learning more about one another. Koko reveals that she was a nice person who only acted stuck around Mitsuo because of her feelings for him and was only using her friendship with Banri to get closer to Mitsuo. Banri, for his part, reveals that his story about having amnesia is true and that he believes his family and friends want the current him to vanish and the old him to return. While understanding their desires, he does not want to lose his current self. When the pair hears the cult members looking for them, they flee deeper into the woods, where Linda finds them. Linda discovers them and explains that she is on a club retreat with the festival club, and she takes Banri and Koko to their campsite. Banri is greeted by Nijijin, Mitsuo, and Chinami, who are all relieved that she has returned. Later, during a break, Banri, Mitsuo, and Chinami gather to talk, but they are interrupted by Koko, who berates and belittles Chinami, prompting Mitsuo to leave with Chinami and leaving Banri to console a repentant Koko. After class, the pair runs into Linda again, who invites them to one of the festival club's dance rehearsals. Banri decides to join while Koko thinks about it. Later that night, Mitsuo tells Banri that he will settle things with Koko to pursue a relationship with Chinami, and the next day, Mitsuo flatly rejects Koko's affection in front of Banri. Koko asks Mitsuo if their time together is meaningless to him, and Mitsuo responds that while he cherishes their time together, he only sees her as a childhood friend. Koko yells angrily at him to forget their past, driving Mitsuo away. Koko yells at him to leave but realizes her words hurt Banri, so she constantly apologizes in tears. After a few hours, Coco and Banri are invited to a concert by a girl named Nana. Coco goes to vent her rage, but after climbing on stage, she is thrown out and spends the night at Banri's flat. Coco admits she needs him, and Banri confesses his feelings for her. After she leaves, she texts Banri, encouraging him not to forget his lost memories, which inspires him to return to his home in Shizuoka, where he discovers a scrapbook with pictures of himself and Linda in high school. Banri runs to the bridge where the accident occurred after discovering the photo of him and Linda, but he cannot recall anything else. The spirit of the 18-year-old Banri Tada observes him and informs him that the fall caused his 18-year-old spirit and all of his memories to leave his body and that he cannot be seen or heard by the current Banri. Banri meets Coco after returning to school, and she gives him a mirror that matches hers to commemorate their friendship. Banri and Mitsuo run into Coco the next day, who starts acting overly cheerful and dramatic about her friendship with Banri. Linda, who is assisting Coco with class registration, soon joins them and meets Mitsuo, inquiring about Coco and Banri's membership in the festival club. Coco responds that they will both attend, while Banri wonders why Linda hasn't mentioned that she knows him from before. Coco demonstrates her inability to dance during their first dance rehearsal, causing her to become depressed and cry. She apologizes to Banri for her behavior and admits that she is still recovering from Mitsuo's dump, but he reassures her that everything is fine and reaffirms their friendship by using the mirror she gave him. That night, Banri recalls leaving the hospital and seeing a flashing light from his window. When he snuck out to investigate, he discovered it was Linda. During their conversation, she reveals that she was the one who inspired Banri to visit Tokyo. Banri wonders why Linda hasn't told him anything, and the spirit of Banri bemoans the fact that he can't tell the current Banri how important Linda is to him. In a flashback, Banri confesses his love to Linda, and she agrees to tell him her response the next night on the bridge where Banri will have his accident. Coco notices Banri's unusual behavior around Linda, but when she questions him, he denies anything wrong. Chinami discovers the two and invites them to a party. However, Coco declines due to her dislike for Chinami. However, this does not deter Chinami, who explains to Banri that she likes Coco. Banri persuades Coco to come along with Mitsuo and Nijijin, but Coco and Mitsuo end up arguing about Chinami, which results in Mitsuo confessing to Chinami and her rejecting him. Banri decides to end his friendship with Coco on their way home because of her long-standing crush on Mitsuo, and he leaves her despite her protests. Linda notices the tense atmosphere between the two the next day, but when she inquires about it, Banri confronts her for not informing him that they previously knew each other. Linda explains that she didn't say anything for fear of confusing him and driving him away. She also admits guilt for feeling responsible for Banri's accident by not arriving at the bridge in time. Following that, Coco meets with Banri to find out what happened, but he flees due to the revelation that Linda may have reciprocated his feelings years ago and how her response would have affected his life. Before he can wonder if having the same accident would allow him to redo things, Coco catches up to Banri and tells him not to leave her, confessing her love for him. Coco declares her love for Banri, but before he can respond, Coco is arrested for stealing the bike she used to catch up to Banri. Coco is cleared of all charges at the police station, and after explaining the reason for her sudden confession, Banri reciprocates, and the two officially become a couple. The next day, as they walk to school, Coco openly expresses her love for Banri, and their relationship is met with disbelief from Nijijin and mild surprise from Mitsuo, who has dyed his hair blonde to cope with rejection. When Chinami approaches them, Mitsuo flees, and Chinami explains that he has been avoiding her and that she rejected him because of his confession at a party. Banri quickly flees, noting that he has been avoiding Linda since their last conversation, despite her repeated attempts to speak with him. Banri and Coco enjoy their time together as they grow older, but Banri continues to ignore Linda, which irritates her and draws Nana's attention. Banri is summoned to his flat one day due to a plumbing leak, but when he arrives, he runs into Nana, who reveals that she is his neighbor and that she faked the leak to get him to meet with Linda. Back in Banri's flat, he apologizes for his behavior, and the two rekindle their friendship just as Banri receives a call from Coco, who is concerned about Mitsuo. Banri overhears Linda saying she doesn't like him in a flashback, causing him to ignore her for days. She then apologizes, claiming that she misspoke. Banri forgives her, and the spirit of Banri recalls how things changed between the two, leaving him wondering if Linda liked him. Banri goes to check on Mitsuo after receiving a call from Koko and finds him depressed as a result of telling Chinami to stay away from him because of rumors about her rejecting him. Banri, Nijijin, and Koko decide to cheer him up by taking him to an amusement park, but when Chinami calls, Koko also invites her to reconcile with Mitsuo. Koko and Banri meet Chinami at the station, and after some flirting, the two women get along, and the group spends the entire day at the park, with Mitsuo and Chinami reconciling. They all spend the night at Banri's flat after that, but while everyone is sleeping, Banri texts Linda, who is next door, and they meet on the balcony. After reminiscing about their old relationship, Banri asks Linda what her feelings for him were in the past, and she responds that she only saw him as a friend. While seemingly accepting this, Banri blacks out momentarily and yells, shocking them both, his desire to return to that time. Linda dismisses his outburst and returns inside, but Banri's spirit reaffirms his love and desire to be with Linda but notes that he cannot leave the current Banri without disappearing. Koko becomes ill and misses several days of school. Banri notices her disappointment and comforts her, but she later shares their first kiss. Banri's spirit comments on a similar situation between him and Linda. In a flashback, Linda learns about her brother's affair and asks Banri to help her expose it. Linda deletes all the photos taken during the affair and confronts her brother's fiancé, vowing never to let it happen again. Banri reassures Linda that she is not alone and that she will always be there for her. Banri mentions Koko's illness again in the present, while Linda discusses her family and brother. Linda is saddened when Banri demonstrates that he has no recollection of having a brother. She employs Banri's words to persuade him to be present for Koko. Banri's spirit regrets not confessing his true feelings for Linda, stating it is too late for them. Banri awakens the next morning to find himself back inside his physical body. Banri awakens in his body and desires to see Linda. He slips and falls, becoming ill, and discovers that the hidden picture of Linda and himself is missing. Nana locates him and transports him to the hospital. Banri tells Nana that he misjudged her and that she is nice. She gives Banri to Linda, who accuses her of assaulting him. Nana informs Linda that she only assisted him and then leaves them alone. Linda looks after Banri for a while, giving him water and medication. Banri muses on his conflicted feelings about Linda and Koko. Koko arrives with a bouquet of roses and accuses Banri of cheating, but she quickly retracts her accusation. 2D, Koen and Mitsuo argue about who stole the bouquet and who will marry first. Koko assures everyone that she is joking and that Banri will never cheat. She chastises Banri for not informing her that Nana lived next door but forgives him. They discuss their summer plans and decide to go to the beach together. Later that night, Banri awakens to find Koko still watching him. Koko apologizes for not taking proper care of him and falls into depression, telling Banri she will never be a good girlfriend. Banri reassures her with a hug and asks if she's over her cold. She admits to wanting to go to the beach with him and promises to take her when he's feeling better. Banri and Koko talk about their upcoming Awa dance festival and beach trip, and Koko's new nickname, Robogirl, alludes to her robotic appearance. They meet with the upperclassmen to discuss festival preparations. Banri is advised to get a job to make money, but Koko refuses, stating that she prefers to spend time with him. Banri pays the cab fare and brings cookies to Nana. Mitsuo refuses Nana's invitation to work at a weekend party. The tea club recruits them for dubious jobs. Banri discovers at the party that Koko had wanted to come over but had to work on a report. Banri is dressed as a maid at the party and is offered an extra 10,000 yen to wear a flesh-colored speedo. Linda is working as a devil girl, according to Banri. Due to Banri's absence at the party, Koko cannot contact him. It is revealed that Koko possessed a photograph of Banri and Linda. Banri Tada is a party waiter who works with Nana, Mitsuo, and Linda. Coco becomes concerned about Banri's absence after texting him. When guests see Banri and Linda together, they strike provocative poses, prompting the arrival of Coco in a confrontation. Banri transports Coco to the dressing room, where he leaves. Banri is worried about his relationship with Linda as well as his pay. Banri tells Mitsuo after the party that his salary may have outlived its usefulness. He hands back a photograph of Banri and Linda, admitting they were former classmates who had fallen in love. He admits that his feelings for Linda come back in flashes occasionally, and Coco hugs him, wishing Banri would forget the past. The next morning, the couple reconciles, and Banri asks Linda if she loves the old Banri, who only saw him as a friend. Linda drops the picture as Banri tries to rip it. Banri instructs Linda to act as if they are strangers, severing ties with the past. Linda understands that Coco is bothered by her presence in his past life. She shatters the picture, surprising Banri. Coco and Banri take a picture together the next morning, creating new memories. Thanks for watching. If this series is the most liked in my anime recap production, I will make a part 2. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to help me make more content.